What is going on, Neon Nation, and welcome back to the Neon Arcade for a list of 8 of the most exciting games, at least in my opinion, coming out in 2021 and 2022. Now obviously Cyberpunk DLC and expansions are at the top of my list, but there are a few other games on the horizon that are incredibly intriguing, some more mainstream and some more obscure, as you'll find out as we go down the list here. Now obviously with the world in the state that it is, release dates and deadlines have become a bit more fluid. But for the purpose of this video, these are the ones that are hopefully going to come out in the next couple of years. In no particular order, we have Harry Potter Legacy, an immersive open-world action RPG set in the 1800s wizarding world, which is a contrast to something like the Harry Potter books and movies, which take place between 1991 and 1998, and obviously follows the timeline of Potter and his fight against Voldemort. More specifically, the story has players experiencing life as a student at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry to uncover an ancient truth of the wizarding world, to which you have the key to. Now choice does rear its head here, where you can choose to protect the secret or give into the ways of the Dark Wizard and use it for evil. I think Harry Potter nerds have deserved an open world RPG since forever ago, because let's face it, we've all wanted to get that acceptance letter in the mail in real life, and this game does look like it will be an acceptable second best option. Through this adventure, you will grow your magical abilities by mastering spells, brewing potions, owning your combat abilities, picking companions, and taming fantastic beasts. True to the Harry Potter universe, at the beginning of the game, you will be able to pick your house. Now whether that be Slytherin, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, or Ravenclaw, and Legacy will also take place in new and familiar locations beyond Hogwarts, including fan favorites like the Forbidden Forest and Hogsmeade Village. Now this is actually developed by Portkey Games, which is a Warner Bros. Offshoot, that will be all about titles in the Wizarding World universe. So if you are a fan of Harry Potter in general, or if you're looking for something other than Legacy, Portkey does seem to have a ton of Harry Potter based games coming out in the near future, with their Pokemon Go replica Wizards Unite actually already out there. Unfortunately, Legacy is releasing in 2022 after a delay and is probably the biggest project in the Portkey lineup. Now me personally, I grew up in Harry Potter dominated culture. People were standing in line for hours and hours and hours just to get the books. The movies had so much media coverage, there were people dressing up in costumes for this. Harry Potter is really a big deal. It's the 10th highest grossing media franchise of all time, and this game is like an amalgamation of everything that everybody wants out of Harry Potter. It's an open world RPG, you get to experience Hogwarts, and I honestly can't wait for it. We just have to wait till 2022, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I do hope that they take their time with this one because it has the potential to be a banger. Moving on, we have a game that I'm cautiously optimistic for, Halo Infinite. As someone who grew up on Halo Combat Evolved and spent a ridiculous amount of time in Halo 3, whether that was Forge, Jenga, Zombies, competitive multiplayer, theater mode, and even campaign, Halo Infinite is going to be a make or break for a lot of longtime Halo fans. Halo Infinite is of course still a first-person shooter, but this time it will be coming to not only the Xbox, but will also be available on the PC. It follows the journeys of the main protagonist, Master Chief, and picks up after the events of Halo 5 Guardians, with the main antagonist being the Banished Brute faction who first appeared in Halo Wars 2. What's also interesting about Halo Infinite is that while the main campaign will focus on a more open world, the multiplayer will be completely free to play, which will make Halo the most accessible it has ever been, meaning more players will get the chance to experience Halo's sandbox arsenal and unique arena style gameplay. The open world will be on a new Halo ring and will take the next step with a day and night cycle as well as pockets of wildlife. Now Halo Infinite was actually supposed to already be out, but it did get delayed to late 2021 after some backlash on the visual presentation of the campaign gameplay reveal, although this did spawn national treasure Craig the Brute. There's also been some rumors of a messy development thus far, with issues via heavy outsourcing of work to external developers, timeline conflicts with the Halo TV show, and the studio director recently leaving after the backlash post-campaign reveal. Now again, Halo 4 and 5 and to some degree Reach didn't quite cut it for me after a pretty stellar original trilogy in terms of both the campaign and multiplayer. So I'll definitely be going into Halo Infinite with guarded expectations, since thus far 343i has not proved that they can make a Halo game that matches the legacy of the old Bungie. Also, if there's no singing monks, I'm definitely boycotting this game. Now 343i has been pretty active on social media like Twitter, sharing developer updates, showing new weapons, including the fan favorite assault rifle and battle rifle, and the cover is an homage to CE, so hopefully they go back to their roots a little bit and try to find what made the original trilogy so special in the eyes of many Halo fans. Now my dark horse going into the next couple years, and likely a game that will have an incredible amount of interest generated at launch after the overwhelming success of Minecraft, will be Hytale. From the outside looking in, Hytale appears to be one of the most complete experiences based on the sheer amount of features, options, and adventures you can undertake within this block-based world. Now oddly enough, Hytale is being developed by Hypixel Studios, whose developers created the Hypixel Minecraft minigame server, which holds a massive 100,000 concurrent players, and in 2016 hit 10 million unique players. Now production of this game began around 2015 with funding from Riot Games, who did acquire the studio in April of last year. Now Hytale itself aims to, quote, combine the scope of a sandbox with the depth of a role-playing game, immersing players in a procedurally generated world where teetering towers and deep dungeons promise rich rewards. Designed with creative players in mind, Hytale's engine supports everything from block-to-block castle construction to scripting and customization delivered using easy-to-use and powerful tools. Hytale is being marketed towards 3 different types of players: the adventurer, the minigame player, and the creator. Adventurers can expect to undertake quests in a variety of different biomes and environments, featuring hostile flora and fauna, and you can do this all while having your friends by your side with co-op support and a range of different playstyles for each type and taste. There are unique bosses featuring loot aplenty, but if something more slow-paced is your style, you can kick back and build lodges and homes, grow crops, or even have a pet or two. A character creator will also be featured, which will have thousands of cosmetics. If you are familiar with Hypixel and minigames are more of your bread and butter, the team has crafted these games with competitive play in mind, with anti-cheat, more tools for minigame creators, complete control over game assets, and a healthy dose of optimization for all types of personal computers. Hypixel will offer official servers, and you will be able to create your own as well. The most intriguing element for content creators, and a possible reason we'll be seeing tons of creative video content for this game slapped all over YouTube and the internet, are the scripting and animation tools. If you guys remember the early days of YouTube, machinimas like Red vs. Blue were some of the most engaging and highly viewed gaming content on the platform. And although it faded into obscurity somewhat, content creators on YouTube are more creative than ever, and these tools will help showcase that. Saving and loading action scenes, custom animations and particles, and the ability to edit every piece in the game is going to be absolutely incredible for content creation based in this colorful world. There's even a model maker where you can customize your characters and items and import them into these worlds. This is a long list of promises, but with block-based graphically muted games like this, there is a lot of overhead for all these features to come to fruition. Now the most intriguing game on this list is none other than Atomic Heart, developed by Mundfish, which looks like what Bioshock would look like if it drank too much Smirnoff. The first-person action RPG is based in a hallucinatory reality of the USSR, blending robots, the internet, holograms, and the technological revolution with communism, imperialism, and the confrontation with the West. You play as a KGB officer investigating Facility 3826 to rectify a problem with the robot control system, which before was implemented to help with daily life in the USSR, as well as could be activated for war. Atomic Heart will be an RTX title, and although we don't know a whole lot about this game thus far, there is an extended look at gameplay featuring unique abilities akin to plasmids from Bioshock, transformative weapons, which you will be able to craft, and a dash of badass enemy design. It's not certain if this is a true open world game at the moment since Mundfish has been pretty muddy on these details, and signs do point to again internal troubles, leading to a reboot and gameplay downgrade, but this is still one to look out for. Also, the music is absolutely amazing, and it's no surprise because Mick Gordon is on board, who if you didn't know is most recently known for his work on Doom Eternal's soundtrack. Now, if you haven't heard of Mundfish, as far as I know they're new to the scene, with their only prior release being an early access virtual reality title called Soviet Luna Park VR, based in the same universe as Atomic Heart. Now Atomic Heart will also feature a multiplayer mode which in today's landscape will help with longevity. Now moving on, I have a confession to make. I have not played the original Mass Effect games, mainly because the first one came out in the same year as Halo 3, and well, I spent the next 10 years playing Halo 3, so there was just no room for any other game to get its time to shine in my library, besides maybe Gears of War. With the announcement of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, however, I now get to right my wrongs on May 14th of this year, and experience for the first time one of the most highly touted trilogies in all of gaming. When I mentioned this on Twitter a while ago, a ton of you guys mentioned that you wish you could step into my shoes and experience this game for the first time as well, which only makes the anticipation for the Legendary Edition greater. Now Mass Effect Legendary Edition features Mass Effect 1 through 3, with over 40 DLC and sporting a shiny new coat of paint in the form of a remaster optimized for 4K Ultra HD. Expect updated textures, shaders, models, effects, and technical features. If you are in the same boat as me and have not played the Mass Effect series, it might be time to jump on board, since 2021 will likely see a number of delays and setbacks for other games you might be holding off for. Not only this, but early stages of the next new game in the Mass Effect universe was also recently announced by BioWare. Moving on, we have Overwatch 2. If you guys follow me on social media, you'll know that over the last couple years, my go-to game has been Overwatch. Overwatch is actually what enticed me enough to build a PC, since the most optimal and competitive experience was on the PC. So realistically, if not for Overwatch, I likely wouldn't have even made this channel. Now Overwatch 2 is definitely looking more akin to DLC, at least from what we've seen dating back a couple years ago. But if it releases with the same amount of content, maps, and heroes as it did back in 2016, I'll be happy adding that many new heroes to the roster. For those of you who aren't aware, Overwatch 2 will build on the foundation of the pre-existing Overwatch experience. In essence, Overwatch 2 is a free upgrade for existing players, who will have access to Overwatch 2's heroes and maps, and all your skins and achievements and whatnot will port over to Overwatch 2. So what exactly are you paying for? The co-op missions and the PvE structure of Overwatch 2 will not be available in the free upgrade, and thus this is what that likely $40 on PC or $60 on console price tag will include. To me personally, this is probably not worth it, but if you've enjoyed seasonal content like the Null Sector missions from Overwatch 1 or are a lore fanatic, you might want to invest in what will essentially be Overwatch campaign. Regardless, more Overwatch is always welcome in my book. Just don't make me play another map like Horizon or Paris, and we're good, Blizzard. Moving on in the list, we have Dying Light 2. I will admit I think the zombie genre is pretty passé, since it pretty much feels like we're living in one. But regardless, I think Dying Light 2 is looking very promising in terms of aesthetics, world building, gameplay, and narrative structure. I know many people love the first installment, praising the parkour mechanics, and it looks like DL2 will be an evolution of that, with twice the amount of aerial moves, and a map that will be significantly bigger than its older brothers. In Dying Light 2, you play as Aiden Caldwell, an infected survivor in a world plunged into chaos 15 years after a deadly virus turns people into flesh-craving zombies. It's a story as old as time, and one that people still have apparently not gotten tired of. Caldwell will have to make tough narrative decisions, and will be an agent for change, which will impact regions of the city or uncover new areas to explore. Combating factions for sections of the city during the day and staying alive amidst the infected at night is a core tenet of Dying Light 2. While managing the power struggle between larger groups of people just trying to survive, and those ruling with an iron fist hoarding resources. More specifically, Caldwell is tasked with retrieving an object which can turn the tides in the war against the infection. The open world game will come in at a lean 20 hours for the main story, although it does have around 100 hours of content if you factor in replayability with the branching choices. You can also play the game with up to 4 players in co-op, which is always going to be the best way to play. Now, Dying Light 2 is developed by Polish studio Techland. And if you were wondering where one of the best writers from The Witcher 3, Karolina Stachira, landed, well, she's over at Techland working on DL2. If you like the Bloody Baron questline, that's her and CDPR Paweł Sasko's arguably biggest achievement in terms of quest design and writing. Next on the list, we have a game fans have been waiting quite some time for in Diablo IV. Diablo IV is one of the most anticipated games coming out in the future, and will be a darker, more open world Diablo than ever before. Diablo is an ARPG set in the world of Sanctuary, where humans, demons, angels, and monsters all coexist, with the main story being centered around conflict between humans and demons. Known for its addicting progression, combat, and endless pursuit of rare loot, Diablo IV is looking to iterate on its predecessors, while pushing forward the envelope with a non-linear main campaign, surrounded by an open world with 5 regions filled with additional quests and activities. Blizzard has revealed 3 classes so far in the Barbarian, the Sorceress, and the Druid, with the Barbarian being the axe-wielding brute, the Sorceress being the nimble projectile and spell user, and the Druid which can shapeshift. Diablo IV will feature 5 total classes, meaning that there are still 2 more to be revealed at a later date. The main baddie in D4 is Lilith, the Daughter of Hatred, which was one of the bosses in Diablo II, who is shown being summoned in Diablo IV's lengthy cinematic from a prior BlizzCon. While not a fully blown MMORPG, there will be more of an emphasis on connecting players via world events and town hubs. PvP will make its return, and the game is being developed in parallel for consoles and PC, so all gamers will be able to enjoy Diablo IV at launch. Here's a taste of the work-in-progress skill tree, which will feature both active and passive buffs. Now this is probably the game which is furthest out from release, but regardless, it's one of my most anticipated. Oh yeah, there's also mobile Diablo Immortal releasing sooner, and apparently it's pretty good, but I just don't have a phone. Wrapping up here guys, my honorable mentions go to Deathloop, which introduces an interesting concept with the time travel and multiplayer mode that should be highly entertaining with a player assassin thrown into the mix, and Far Cry 6, just for Gustavo Fring aka Giancarlo Esposito. As always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to check out this video. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing, and let me know your personal most anticipated game coming out, whether it's this year or a few years out.